Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one! Another one! Another one!
Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three in.
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. Jim Coyle with you. As always, hope you're ready for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from Endeavor Hospitality, located here in Bloomington. Of course, the fine folks of the Wild Club. Make sure you go there and sign up immediately, right now, while you're listening to me talk, at your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Join the Wild Club, free. Start earning Wild rewards today. You can, if you're not close by, you can order online from places like BB's Market, where is your local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer, no matter where you live. Plenty of other great places we'll be talking about. That they're a sponsor of IU Athletics. So support those who support you. More importantly, they're a supporter of IU Indiana Sports Beat Radio, Dustin. That's the most important thing, man. So support those who support us and allows us to bring this content to you. And it's a great one today. Also, Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer, powered by Andy Moore on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. We've already got some guys hitting us up there. Dave G says hello. Thoroughly enjoyed yesterday's show. Good morning, Indiana Sports Beat Nation. Hello, good afternoon, good day. If I don't, good morning, good night, and what was that? Good morning, good night, and good afternoon. If I don't see you, whatever, on the Truman Show.
I thought good. Good morning, good afternoon. If I don't see you, good night or
good
something.
Night,
I think so.
Five Lefts is on early, or on early in the show at least already. Hit us up. The Truth down in Evansville. How about our folks on the Ref, WREF 97.7? Always the right call. Michael, the music man's already on. Phil, thoughts on Harry Carey hologram? Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. I did forget about that part, but let's see. We're going to talk about, first of all, on the program today, Dustin Schutte. Shocker. Alec Lasley is going to join us from the Hoosier.com. We're going to get caught up. Recruiting kind of slowing down finally. We'll get caught up on what's happening, what's the lay of the land. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star joins us as well. Talk a little IU football with him, as today, like I said, we're going to be meeting with the quarterbacks for the first time, as well as Tom Allen. Mitchell Paige and Jeffrey the Greek will chime in toward the end, and we'll start talking some Big Ten football. It's about that time, man. It's that time.
Just a few weeks.
Let's see. What is this? Oh, yeah, there's a story about beer in Iowa that was in the Indy Star I was going to talk about. Calipari pisses off Mark Stoops. John Calipari, the basketball coach at Kentucky, has pissed off the football coach Mark Stoops at Kentucky in his demands for a new practice facility. Derek Queen's going to be visiting IU. So the Field of Dreams game, it was all right. One of the coolest parts for me was them talking to Joey Votto during the game while he's playing first base.
Yeah, it was cool for like the first 2 or 3 innings, and then it kind of, when the Cubs got out to that 4-0 lead, it kind of lost some of the allure of it, especially because these two teams aren't really playing for anything, right? I understand it's fun for the fans of those two teams, but they're not playing for anything. Joey Votto getting mic'd up. I think Ian Happ was mic'd up in the outfield, and then the Harry Carey hologram, which was crazy. So it's always a unique thing, but I got to admit that when the captain came on at 10 o'clock, that final episode of the Jeter series, I flipped over to that. But I watched 7 innings.
I actually saw the end of it. I kept saying, all right, I'm out. The Reds scored 2 runs. to get to 4-2, but yeah, I ended up staying for the whole thing. So there's that. Not going to be a game next year, which I don't get. I understand now. I understand how the layout is. This is a field that they built adjacent to the Field of Dreams field. It's on the same property right next to it. And then the house, of course, next to the Field of Dreams field itself. It's when you see an overhead shot, you see how massive this field really is compared to the original one from the movie. And I thought that they had torn that down to make this, which I was like, I was outside myself. I'm like, how can you can't tear that down? And then I thought they were going to tear it down to do what they're going to do next year, which I don't think that's the case. They're still just building around it. I think they're going to tear this Major League Stadium down, I guess, which I highly advise if they're going to put more seats in, which would be the smartest thing to do, and then build a complex around it, which would be the coolest thing in the world, because now you're going to have a place where little league teams from all over go play. I mean, if it wasn't for the history, what a place for the Little League World Series. Oh, I know. Hello.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, you could do so many different things there. Like I said this, I think yesterday, that I think the Big Ten baseball tournament should go out there and play maybe every other year or something like that. I think you could incorporate that into it. But Little League, Big Ten, you could do a lot of fun things with that. I don't know. I understand if they put more seats in. I haven't read the full story as to what's all happening other than the construction, but I kind of like it being just kind of this small, intimate type baseball setting of like, what, 7,000, 6,000 fans, whatever that total is. I mean, it creates a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and there's not 40,000 people there. I think that's kind of cool. That's what kind of draws me to that game. It's just so unique. I mean, it'll still be unique in the middle of a cornfield with the old throwback uniforms and all that good stuff. Even the broadcasters were dressed up, which I thought was funny. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe they won't put too many more seats in. I understand that they can make money doing it. So I think somebody, by the way, ran some figures, and I think you could see like all of the remaining Cubs and Reds home games for the same price as it costs to go to that one game Thursday.
Say it again.
Somebody could have picked up all of the Reds or Cubs, like through StubHub, I'm guessing, or through some ticket market. They could have gone to the remainder of those teams' home games for the same price as it cost for that one ticket to go to the Field of Dreams game. Like it was what, $750? You could get into the rest of the Cubs and Reds games for $750.
Yeah, but guess what? American, the Great American Ballpark, nor Wrigley Field are the Field of Dreams game.
No, I know.
You can go to Wrigley every day. You can certainly go to Great American Ballpark every day.
Right.
Probably twice in the same day. But oh yeah, so it was fun. But that's that. Yeah, neither team doing anything. Speaking of baseball, I guess we can get our baseball talk out of the way. Although the National League Central has tightened up, baby. The Brewers, a half a game back of the Cardinals now. As the Cardinals are 8-2 over their last 10 games, but they lost last night, and the Brewers have won their last 2, although they're 4-6 over their last 10. So Cardinals got to get on it, but stay on it. I'd say that's going to be a fun race to watch. Although it's the weakest division in all of baseball, it's probably going to be the funnest race to watch.
I would say so.
And how about this? How about a team that is 16 games out of first place in their division will likely play in the playoffs.
In the wild card.
As a wild card team, the Padres at 63 wins, which they would be 2 games in front of the Cardinals. But they would be in third place in the National League East. So they're actually in a battle. So, of course, the Mets win the division. They're 7 games up. But the Braves, with 66 wins, 7 games back. But there's the first wild card spot. The Phillies, the third place team in that division, with the next wild card spot with 62 wins.
Yep.
So, like I said, the National League Central, that's probably going to be a battle, just a playoff battle, period.
Right.
Where in every other division, the second place team will wind up with a wild card, unless somebody gets on a heater, and they're going to have to They're going to fight the Phillies for that final wild card spot.
Yeah, I think it's if you win the division you're in. I mean, obviously, if you don't, I don't think you're going to get in if you're in the Central. That's going to come down to the Central. That's what makes it so fun, though, in that division, because there really is no second option, at least right now. Like you said, unless somebody gets hot late in the year, it's win or go home, baby. That's what makes it fun.
It's the exact same situation in the American League, as the American League Central sucks. And the Cleveland, who is leading that division, would be in third place in the American League West, and they would also be in third place in the American League East. So therefore, the Twins, who are a game and a half back of Cleveland in that division, are likely fighting for a playoff spot, because the other playoff spots probably going to come from the AL East or between there.
Well, and the White Sox too, they've been playing some bad baseball considering what they were able to do last year, but they're only 3.5 out. So that's a 3-team race. So maybe that might be the most exciting, because you got 3 teams involved. But really what we're learning is that baseball in the Central divisions, not great this year.
It's never is. It's always the smaller divisions. I mean, you've got, Detroit's not a small town. The Royals and the White Sox, not a small town. But Minnesota, Cleveland, and then you switch over to the National League, and you've got St. Louis, Milwaukee, Chicago, which is an anomaly, but they've always been a small town team. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. So yeah, that's how that goes. Who was someone asking Michael about? Says the Cardinals and Brewers started. Ooh, there you go.
There we go.
Now we're talking.
I'm going to have that queued up. I can't watch the Braves this next 3 or 4 game series against Miami because I'm blacked out because of stupid MLB rules, but I will watch that series now.
Robert the Truth asking what's wrong with his Yankees. Well, they're sucking right now. They have lost 8 out of their last 10. This is a team with the second best record in baseball, and for the longest time, and had the best record in baseball until they went on this schneid. They've lost their last 2 and 8 out of their last 10. Well, I just don't know that you can dominate that long. I mean, I think you get up to a point where you're 3/4 of the way through the season and you're dominating. You're like, maybe they're taking a breath. Catching their breath for the stretch run.
That could be.
Because they don't need to. They're 10 games up. They got a 10-game lead, man. They're not going to lose a division race. They're not going to miss out on the playoffs. So,
right. Well, this has started since they traded Joey Gallo. Let's go back to that. Bring Joey Gallo back to the Yankees, even though he's batting like 150, 160, whatever. But since they traded him, they have not played well at all. It's kind of unique.
Joey Gallo, wasn't he and My Cousin Vinny?
Yes.
Do you remember that movie? Do you know?
I remember that. I do know that movie. I have seen it, but I don't know the name reference.
Well, that's in that movie. You know, he was pretending to be a lawyer. He wasn't, because he just had passed the bar. I love that movie. The Munsters, the guy that played the Munster was the judge.
Yep.
Did you?
I watched it for Marissa Tomei.
Did you say the two what? Did you say Utes? The 2 Utes? What What's a Ute?
That's good.
But Joey Gallo was the name that he was kept giving him. He kept faking it. It was Joey Callow. Oh, you said Jerry Gallo. I'm Jerry Callow.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
See, it's been a while since I've seen it. To be quite honest,
it has been a while for me as well. I need to revisit it, man. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's one of those. That was one I wanted to watch for a while there. But yeah, good old times. Let's see. We're gonna save the clips for later. The clips with Bill Mallory, with Tom Allen and Walt Bell. Gonna talk about that stash, man. I put up a clip from a comment from earlier presser earlier in the week. It's like 14,000 views on that thing, but more importantly, some of the quote tweets got started a great conversation about his mustache. So we'll talk about that. We're late. We got to get to Alec Lasley, who's waiting to join us, talk about some IU basketball. Hey, man, hope everybody's having a great day. Indiana Sports Beat Radio brought to you by our good friends at Cabello Restaurant, all part of the Wow Club. Cabello, located in the heart of downtown Bloomington, right on the square on the northeast side. So make sure you stop in and get a taste of the Italian heritage right here in Bloomington. Back with Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com and Dustin Schutte and myself right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington or a Cutter, you got me with that Cabello again, man.
Sorry.
That one sucks. You can't even see it. What up? What up? What up? Boom. What's new? What's happening? What's shaking?
Not a whole lot. What shape? Are you playing golf today?
I am.
What time's the tee time?
2:10. Got to go to football.
Are you just going after that?
It's kind of working out, yeah. There was
Where
another thing. Place called Stonecrest. It is probably 5-6 minutes from here. They have 27 holes. Nice little course. Be interesting to see how it goes. Did a fitting yesterday at TaylorMade was up there, and this is always the case, and it pisses me off because it's anytime you're at the range, it's like I'm Tiger Woods, or whatever. And even the driver, I was like, God, I was crushing his driver, but more importantly, I was hitting it. I was swinging harder. Normally, when I try to swing hard to purposely hit it, that's when things don't go well. And I've kind of found a trajectory. I got much farther away from the ball than I've been comfortable with, and to really trying to push the club at it. Boy, it made a difference. And I'm like, surely this is not the club. So can't wait to go play today to see if I can recreate that. But I can't hit my irons worth of crap. My irons are not the greatest, but I can't hit irons very well. I need to get them. I think I need to get them re-gripped with a bigger grip, and then get a better swing, and then take 2 weeks off and quit altogether.
Yeah, that's probably the way to go.
That would help my game immensely. What's new in the recruiting world, real quick?
Nothing outside of Arrington Paige for 23. Marco Jackson's like the last guy on the board for them in 23 at the moment, but nothing
Michael
happening.
Jackson.
25 seconds. El Marco, and nothing really happened with him. So they offered him back in June.
All right.
But
It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by BB's Market in Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from BB's Market, all part of the Wow Club and Endeavor Hospitality, of course. BB's Market is your local meat shop, steakhouse, caterer, no matter where you live. Some of the best custom meats around. BB's Market also has the largest variety of in-house made products you'll find around as well. And you can order online from wherever you are, whether you're listening or watching in Florida or Georgia or Vermont, wherever you guys are. Just go to visitbbsmarket.com. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to start creating something. If you order something from there and you mention the show, I'm going to start throwing in a hat or a visor or something. There we go. How about that? You got to let me know. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com joining us now. How are you, sir?
good, guys. How are you doing?
Cannot complain. It is an absolutely gorgeous Friday in the month of August, which has felt like early October for this week. Luckily for IU football, those lucky guys are all of football players because, like I said, when I was in school playing and it was two-a-days, which they don't even have anymore, we had to walk to two-a-day practice uphill both ways. You know how that goes, right? But just kidding. On the basketball side of things, recruiting hot and heavy there over the course of a 7, 8, 9 day period with 5 consecutive visits, 3 of which were active with decision makers, 2 of the 25 classmen, Jalen Harrelson and Trent Sisley, of course. But Deshaun Harris-Smith has not committed yet. Jamie Kaiser is committed to Maryland. And then the big man in the middle, Arrington Paige, has yet to make any announcements. But Michigan State picking up Cohen Carr, first of all, and Xavier Booker. I know that some people see that as a big loss by Indiana, and I don't know that I do, because I'm not saying that they wouldn't have taken Xavier Booker had he committed to Indiana, but they knew where the tea leaves were reading, and it seems like they had kind of backed off on both of those 2 players.
Yeah, I mean, the Booker recruitment is one that I think a lot of people are kind of over by now. I think it was more so the shift to Cohen Carr. But if you look back to Booker, that was definitely an interesting recruitment from start to finish, just because of how quickly he rose up to at one point the number 1 overall player in the class. After G.G. Jackson decided to reclassify to 2022, and Booker took over that number 1 spot in the 23 class. But that was one where Indiana was involved pretty heavily on early in the recruitment. Kind of took a step back, wanted to see how he progressed in his junior year. Didn't have a bad junior year by any means, but just didn't show, I think, what the staff wanted. And that was mainly with the consistency and the motor that they wanted to see from game to game. And so they backed off a little bit there, but then it seemed like everyone outside of, the state of Indiana and a couple of those Midwest schools decided to jump into that recruitment. And I think really spearheaded a lot of, FOMO for a lot of these other programs of at least not getting involved. And so I think Indiana saw what he did to begin some of the live periods in the summer, and it kind of early part of the spring tried to get back involved a little bit more. But at that point, it was pretty much locked up that it was going to be Michigan State. I think that recruitment dragged on a lot longer than what people were expecting. And I think the main reason for that was just to see kind of what the Dukes, the Gonzagas, the Kentuckys were going to do. But that quickly, went nowhere with Duke and Gonzaga pretty much not watching him at all during the June live evaluation periods, and pretty much, put an axe in whatever type of recruitment that was going to be. And I think at that point, he was pretty much set on Michigan State, but wanted to just play out the rest of the summer. Went on a couple visits, but nothing too much. So when you kind of shift to Cohen Carr, though, I think that's one that Indiana fans are probably going to be a little bit more disappointed in, just because that was one after his junior year official visit. He was pretty much ready to commit to Indiana. Obviously going to wait a little bit just to see what happened with him. He was going to set up a few other visits, but talking with him and his mom after that visit, I mean, there was not anything else Indiana could have done to get him to commit. And then I think obviously Indiana kind of took their foot off the gas with him. I think it would have been interesting to see Indiana's recruitment of Cohen Carr if he did not miss the first couple live evaluation periods in the spring and summer with the broken finger. I think that really kind of set him back in terms of what Indiana was going to do, whether they were going to go all in on him or whether they were, eventually going to do what they did and back off. And that is in large part due to his lack of shooting ability from the outside, and Indiana's really kind of prioritizing of bigger wings who can shoot the ball. And that's why they went after Jamie Kaiser. That's why they went after TJ Power, Stojakovic, and a lot of those guys, and a lot of those bigger wings obviously didn't come to fruition at this point, but that's where they went. And that's what happened obviously with Cohen Carr.
There seems, I mean, I can see where some people would think that there might be an issue with this staff committing to recruits, which I know that guys like Jalen Harrelson and Trent Sisley, they are committed. They're all in. But it seems like the first year, and even this season, they're hot and then they're not. And, those players see that. They feel that. They know that. So, are they kicking the tires too much on some of these players? Because you've got a guy like Tom Izzo who just made a gigantic splash in a late recruiting class that has come together to be very nice. Parts of which that he has gotten, still making a statement that he can still get some of the best players from the state of Indiana. So is there any issue of them kicking the tires too much?
I don't think so, because I mean, if you look outside of obviously, what happened with Jamie Kaiser and TJ Power, those things are somewhat out of your control. I think if Jamie Kaiser lived anywhere else outside of Maryland, he probably was going to go to Indiana. But what Indiana was able to do in that recruitment can't really go unnoticed, and it shouldn't. The fact that they were able to get him to commit to any program about 2.5 months after he originally wanted to just shows you, what power they really do have when it comes to kind of flipping recruitments, not so much getting guys to commit. But I mean, look, I think Mike Woodson in this staff has a pretty good track record of when they go all in and they want a kid, they do a pretty good job of landing that kid. Obviously, people are going to look at, have some recency bias with Jamie Kaiser and TJ Power as the two notable guys. But if Indiana ends up landing Arrington Paige and you go into to the college basketball season with the 2023 class of Arrington Paige, Gabe Cupps, and Ja'Kai Newton, I think all is well in the world. I think even if you go into this college basketball season with Ja'Kai Newton and Gabe Cupps, everything is still going to be fine. I don't think there needs to be such a worry about missing out on a couple of kids when you have the entire spring and you have the entire transfer portal window, which I think is more of a priority for this Indiana staff than it is landing, 4 to 5 high school kids each and every class, because those guys, you're probably going to end up with, at most, I would say two out of every, 4 or 5 guys that you bring in that end up staying to their junior, senior year, whether that means they go pro, whether that means they transfer out. That's just the way the college basketball is trending. So I think the staff is just putting, a little bit less of a priority on, landing some of these kids, and they're putting a bigger priority of casting a wider net, and from there, kind of seeing a trickle down effect into, prioritizing 4 or 5 kids. And if they get 2 of those, I think they feel pretty good about themselves. If they get 1, I think they still feel fine. Obviously, we'll see what happens when they don't get any. And I think that's going to be the case if, for some reason Indiana does not land Arrington Paige, then I think you're going to have, a little bit of a shift going into next year of how they may prioritize some of these kids. But up to this point, I think Mike Woodson and the staff have definitely shown that when they want a kid, they do a pretty good job of landing that one and at least keeping their options open for, the late signing period, which they've been extremely successful in with Mike Woodson in 2 years, and getting some pretty talented players through the transfer portal as well.
Except for one area, they have yet to land, and no offense to CJ Gunn, because we don't know what he's going to be able to do. He may fit the bill, but while he is known as somewhat of a shooter, he was 3-star, so he's not known as the elite shooter. Not saying he can't be or isn't. He very well may be that. But the one thing that Mike Woodson and staff have not landed over the 2 years is an elite shooter. And that continues to be a talking point, especially when you see Purdue with no NIL situation land a bunch of those type guys. Michigan State, which I'm sure they have an NIL deal in process. I haven't heard much about anything to do with NIL there. So they're doing this kind of without making a lot of noise about NIL. So that's still an area, and it's the weirdest area of all for an Indiana team, as we all have spoken about, but to not have landed that quote unquote elite shooter.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, right? I mean, you look at what they did with Parker Stewart. Obviously, that was before Mike Woodson really got fully settled in, because Parker Stewart was going to go anywhere that Kenya Hunter was. So you get Parker Stewart, you get Miller Kopp. I think you look at those two. Obviously, did not have the seasons that they were expected to have last year for Indiana, but they went out and they landed 2 extremely talented shooters. Now it didn't work out the way that they thought, but if Miller Kopp comes back and has the year that a lot of people thought it'd have last year, things change, and you get CJ Gunn again, like you said, you don't know what's going to happen in college, but terrific shooter in high school. You can't look past that. I mean, he set the Lawrence North record for most threes in a game. You don't just roll up on a kid like that and not expect him to do that at the next level either. And from all accounts this summer, he's been fantastic, not only shooting the ball, but being a two-way player. And, at a certain point, you just have to look at, Indiana's been in this rut of not being able to shoot the ball for, 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know what the solution is to that, because it seems like they've brought in kids who can shoot the ball. They just don't translate to the next level. And I think a lot of that has to do not so much with that player specifically, but I think you have to look at the roster around them, and you have to look at the lack of playmakers and people who can beat others off of the dribble, and say that's probably the thorn in Indiana's offense over the last almost decade at this point. And so I think this year is going to be a crucial year, because you have that with Xavier Johnson, you have that with Jalen Hood-Schifino, and you have that with some other players as well who can create off of the dribble. Tamar Bates is another guy, and you put those 3 out there with better floor spacing, and not 2 guys who can't create off of the dribble, and that's Miller Kopp and Parker Stewart. So you bring in a little bit of better floor spacing, some better playmakers, and I think you're going to see. I'm not going to tag him as an elite shooter, but I think you're going to see a much better year out of Miller Kopp, and a guy who's going to be a very consistent shooter from the perimeter. And if that happens, I think this is a moot point moving forward, because Mike Woodson has brought in playmakers and will continue to bring in playmakers who can drive and kick. And that's what Indiana's biggest problem has been over the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, Five Left says CJ Gunn has swag and supreme confidence. I think if Woody gives him the green light, he will rise to the occasion. Very, 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 very possible. I am not doubting that at all because I saw him do nothing but that in his senior season in high school. Brad wants to see what an offseason of development under Woodson. So we'll see about that. We got lots more to talk about with Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Make sure you go there and become a subscriber to be caught up on all of the Indiana news and recruiting information. But we got more of it back with Alec Lasley, Dustin Schutte with me as well here on Indiana Sports Beat. Brought to you by our good friends from Metalworks Brewing, part of the WOW Club and Endeavor Hospitality. Metalworks Brewing Company is the culmination of a passion for beer, food, and custom metal art alongside a desire to be actively involved in the community. Located just off of the square on 6th Street, just over from K-Bello, former Function Brewery. Stop in, and we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, talking with Alec Lasley about IU basketball right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out. The birds are chirping. Oh, man, Ann Hayes is not crashed her car drunk and is not expected to live.
Oh.
Did you see any videos from that explosion in Evansville?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Have they said what that was yet?
I don't think so. Not that I've heard.
I mean, it's
at
got
least
to
nothing
be
definitive.
And the one thing they did do, though, which I thought was totally asinine, the report went out. 3 people died, 39 homes impacted. Oh, that's a bunch of shit. There must by 39 homes, they must have meant a piece of debris landed in a gutter. It was included in that because, like the one in Jeffersonville a year or so ago, there was the epicenter. But to count 39 homes, you got to go a wide area out. I just can't imagine that I guess it could have broke windows and all those. Mind-boggling. Crazy. Yeah. Derek Queen. Anything new on that?
Nothing definitive in terms of dates, but Indiana's, one of the schools that he wants to visit.
Is that new information?
Not super new. I mean, Indiana's always been one of the 3-4 schools that he's wanted to visit.
But it's come to the forefront again.
Yeah, just because the Under Armour All-Star event that happens tonight actually, but so that he's playing in that kind of All-Star event. So
we should have had something up on that.
There's nothing really new. I mean, he said he's wanted to visit Indiana for the last 6-7 months. There's no date.
I know I'm just saying up on that, you can combine that with tonight's event. It's just a blurb, but
I have stuff coming in the notebook here in 2 hours. It always gets up on Friday, but
okay.
30 seconds.
Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by RE/MAX Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Friday. I hope you're enjoying it, ready for the weekend. It looks incredible out there. The weather has been absolutely astonishingly nice in this October. What do you heat? what's it's escaping me. Global warming.
Oh yeah.
global warming. Today's high around here, at least, expected. As a matter of fact, I am looking through next. I'm gonna go ahead and extend that out. That looks so beautiful. The temperatures all the way through. Holy smokes! Next Friday, highs in the low 40s or 80s.
That's quite a difference there.
Highs in the low 80s.
Beautiful.
I mean, this is August, people. This is not the August I remember.
Hey, she used to be the dog days when it was in the mid-90s.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore, and her 2 decades of experience could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl, at IndyHomePros.com. And also, they've got the MyBoard Golf event coming up, which is next Friday. If you'd like to play in that, I'm playing in that. Bob Kravitz is playing in that as well. Out at Heartland Crossing Golf Club, little links. We're going to pretend like we're playing in the Open. But noon shotgun start. There's all the information. If you want any more, just reach out and we will get it to you. But and maybe we'll have some Los Pollos Hermanos. Los Pollos Hermanos is the official lunch sponsor for that. That's a joke, Dustin. Obviously, you're not a Breaking Bad fan.
No, I'm not. It gets a little too dark for me, man.
No, oh come on! Are you kidding me? That's one of the greatest shows ever made. We'll save that for another discussion. We've got Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com with us here. We've been talking about some Indiana recruiting news. Also, Derek Queen, who is former teammate of Jalen Hood-Schifino and Malik Reynaud at Montverde, who will be a teammate with Liam McNeely coming up. It just makes you wonder, all right, how many guys from at one time could Indiana, have on their roster? I just don't see them having 3 and 4 guys from the same academy or high school or whatever, just because a lot of times guys want to do their own thing. I don't know, but they're in good position with like someone like Liam McNeely, but that doesn't say a whole lot. But that's a well that they've gone to well so far, no pun intended.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you look at, you had an Asa Newell in that group too, 2024 kid who's already been on campus for an unofficial visit to Indiana, and all 3 of those now obviously going to be high school teammates, and they continue to reload. I think this is arguably probably their best offseason in terms of bringing in new talent down there at obviously Montverde Academy that we're referring to. But they've seemingly brought in, I think, 6 or 7 new pieces this offseason, all high, either 5 stars or high level 4-star players. Their roster is going to be extremely talented once again. And you look at where Indiana's kind of focused on in the 24 class. It's McNeely, who obviously has his official visit, junior year official visit scheduled, the only one that he has scheduled, and that's to Indiana in September. Derek Queen, who's been looking to visit, hasn't been able to get out there yet, but Indiana's done a good job in that recruitment. Newell, who's, like I mentioned, already took an unofficial visit there. He is looking to put together some sort of visit schedule here in the next month. And that will include Indiana on it for a junior year official visit. And then Jared Mustaf as well, that we had an update with earlier this week. And Indiana is one of the couple schools that he's looking to visit this fall as well. So you look at that core 4 that Indiana will at least get some sort of junior year visit from, and they're right back in the driver's seat with a lot of these recruitments. Obviously, very early on for a lot of these kids who wouldn't be shocked to see a lot of them end up in springtime commitments of their senior years, just because of how big their recruitment's going to go. But Indiana's been involved with a lot of these kids for a decent amount of time now. Has put 2 feet into the circle for a lot of these class of 2024 recruitments. And if you look at, the core four that they're involved in that I just spoke of, I don't think there's a program that is in a better spot in the 2024 class than Indiana is with top level talent at the moment. And that kind of lets you forget a little bit about the 2023 class in terms of TJ Power and Jamie Kaiser, and obviously missing on those. But you have to feel confident in what they're doing, continuing to get kids on campus for junior year official visits. And that's something that had not happened in years past with Indiana.
Well, not only, and you say that about the 24, and I say that about the 25 in-state class for Indiana as well. So that should give fans confidence going forward. You're first of all, you're not going to land everybody. You just aren't, because unless you forget that there are programs like Michigan State, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, yada 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 out there. There's plenty of programs, plenty of great players. Let's see. You talked about the 24 and 25 class, and they have a scholarship yet, or they're going to have what, 3 more available for next year? If say Arrington Paige commits, they would still have 2 available, correct?
I mean, I think they would have 1, but honestly, the scholarships don't matter anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the biggest thing. That's why, I don't focus too much on that. And Mike Woodson has shown that doesn't really matter because you're gonna lose kids. So you may as well have enough guys and not oversign, obviously, but get more kids committed in roster space, because come the spring you're going to have probably at least 1 surprise each year, and that obviously doesn't include the 3 or 4 that you're probably going to lose each and every season as well, whether they're key players going pro, transferring, or obviously back into the rotation players that leave as well. So that's not an issue.
Also, earlier in the week, Trace Jackson Davis expectedly listed on Player of the Year, lots of ballots, and expected to be one of the leaders for Player of the Year in the Big Ten and all that. But more importantly, for the youth movement, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Malik Renault, also listed as 2 freshmen expected to make immediate impacts, which that is of great importance to Indiana, because that is what they need from both of those guys. Jalen Hood-Schifino is probably expected to start by me and a lot of other people at that 2 spot.
Yeah, and I think to a certain extent, nationally, he's a bit underrated when it comes to the impact that he's going to have this year for Indiana. Again, going back to his ability to give Xavier Johnson some kind of spot minutes, on and off the ball, and not put so much pressure on Xavier Johnson to be the lone creator for this team. You add in a physical player, a guy who not only has a lot of confidence, but just has the college ready body and the mentality. And that's the biggest part. A guy who comes from a winning program, back-to-back, high school national championships. That doesn't just come around any day or any recruiting class. And the ability to get him in the backcourt and pair him with a very veteran Xavier Johnson, and a guy who, granted went through his ups and downs last year, I think, and on and off the floor as well. But I think, what you've seen out of Xavier Johnson after his incident earlier this year, I think has, seen something switch in his mentality in terms of wanting to be a very big leader for this team. He obviously is completely bought into Mike Woodson. But the fact that you see Xavier Johnson on all of these recruiting trips, whether it's him going out to the live periods and sitting with the staff to watch Arrington Paige, whether it's him in the photo shoots with Jamie Kaiser or Deshaun Harris-Smith, whether it's him, in the ears of any of these other kids saying, hey, obviously not trying to tell you to come to Indiana, but if you do, you're going to have an opportunity to play at the next level. You're going to have an opportunity to play your game, and being that extra recruiter, I think just shows you that he has turned the corner in that leadership mentality. So to have both of those in the backcourt, I think is just going to be just a tremendous asset for Indiana. But I do think Jalen Hood-Schifino is a bit underrated in his impact. And when you look at Malik Reneau, obviously a guy who's not going to start from day one. But I think if you took one of those two guys, Race Thompson or Trace Jackson Davis, off of this Indiana roster, I think you'd have a lot of people nationally talking even more about the impact that Reneau is going to have. A guy who is still going to play a significant role on this team. And if you have a guy like Malik Reneau coming off the bench in your front court rotation, I think is a tremendous asset, because you don't have a lot of, top 30, top 40 players from a national powerhouse like that coming off of the bench for your roster. And so you look at the impact that both of those guys are going to have. And I think it's going to go a long way, not only this year, but for however long they're in Bloomington. And again, I don't think you can overlook guys like Caleb Banks and CJ Gunn. I think what they've done this summer has put them in a really, really good spot to see not significant minutes this year, but I think has put them in a spot to be in the rotation. And that's just something that Indiana hasn't had, where you look at this rotation and you look at guys, if they get injured, if anyone gets injured throughout the course of the season, which we know is probably bound to happen at one point or another, they could be in real jeopardy of not winning their spots back because of what the talent has done and how that's increased so much over the course of just a year, under Mike Woodson.
We've talked about the needs that Indiana needs with shooting, and they've had some issues at the wing. But I want to ask you about something that you just kind of hit on, and that was the leadership quality of this, because I felt like at the entire year the entire tenure of Archie Miller, and then even last year with Mike Woodson, there was probably a lack of leadership. But now I feel like this is a team that is now a player-led team. You got a lot of players that got that taste of what success is like in the Big Ten tournament, getting back to the NCAA tournament. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, do you think that that's a missing element? Because now you just talked about some of the kids that they got coming in that can make an immediate impact. It's got to make their life so much easier to come in and not have to kind of like question who's the leader on this team. You got 4 or 5 guys on that roster right now who are kind of taking a leadership role, and that kind of sets the tone for these incoming guys. I feel like that's going to allow them to play to their strengths rather than kind of question, what are we doing? Who should we listen to? Who's our leader? All that kind of extracurricular type of stuff.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that you can have a great leader as a front court player, but I think at the end of the day, especially in college basketball, it comes down to who's your point guard. Yeah. And you need that to be not only the vocal leader of the team, but you need that to be the guy who's going to set the standard on the court. And while Xavier Johnson did that at times last year, especially towards the end of the season when he really came on strong, a lot of the first 3-4 months were still a very, very big learning curve. And now that he has a full year and 2 summers now under Mike Woodson, we heard a lot of guys talk about it this summer who are returning players. Just the fact that they don't have to go into this year trying to build team chemistry with all the new faces that they had a season ago while learning a new system. And that's the biggest thing. Now you have a lot of guys who have played a lot of minutes under Mike Woodson just in that 1 year who return. And that's a key thing to already have that leadership, but to now have that in the backcourt with Xavier Johnson, who does return, I think with some of these experiences, good and bad, under his belt, I think it definitely helps Indiana turn a corner a lot quicker than what it would have been if maybe he didn't go through some of these things last year, or if Indiana had to go out and find another point guard through the transfer portal, or if it was just Jalen Hood-Schifino coming in as a freshman. And so that's, to your point and what we've been talking about, I think having all of those variables this year just helps Indiana improve so much beyond, just the X's and O's on the floor.
I've heard anything about the Hurts kid from Evansville? Apparently a high prolific 3-point shooter.
I mean,
Just,
not a lot at the moment. Again, Indiana's been focused pretty strictly outside of the state, outside of obviously kind of some of those core three of Cannon Catchings, Jalen Harrelson, and then Trent Sicily.
Ross pointing out that the Under Armour game's on ESPN tonight at 7 p.m. if you want to catch that. So there's that. And Tim says the Hurts kid is 6'3", 115 of 154 career 3-point shooting. Averages 3 points a game. Well, it's pretty good, but don't know who that was against. We'll keep up tabs on him. Janice asking who's going to be the breakout player for IU basketball. We'll talk about another conversation because we don't know. Tamar Bates expected to be that guy, but you know what? Who's going to step up? What's new and else is happening at thehoosier.com that the folks need to know about?
Yeah, it's been a big shift, obviously, from 2023 to 2024 for Indiana. We've had a lot of stuff up about visits that are either in the works or booked and written in stone there for Indiana for the 2024 class. The last little bit of a 2023 name outside of Arrington Paige would have been El Marco Jackson, combo guard that they offered kind of mid to late part of the summer. Not expected to really go anywhere. He is expected to cut his list probably within the next couple of weeks. If it's a big, a list cut like Xavier Booker did, where he listed 10, wouldn't shock me to see Indiana on that list, but there hasn't been any sort of major push from Indiana at this point, more so just staying in contact. And I think with a couple guards already on the roster, they're probably going to, just see that one as kicking the tires and then moving on to the spring. So I think you look at Arrington Paige and then the spring, and then 2024 is kind of the new focus for us moving forward here.
Looking forward to it. Gives us plenty of time as we're about to roll into football and let basketball take a back seat for a while and get behind the scenes and work out. Make sure you give Alec Lasley a follow on Twitter to keep up with everything IU basketball, football, news, and recruiting related, as well as go to thehoosier.com and get signed up there. Alec, have a great weekend, man.
I appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star will join us. Jeffrey the Greek later on. Dustin Schutte's with me now, and we've got lots more coming up. Back with Zach Osterman, brought to you by Barber Pop Real Estate Services. If you're down in the Louisville, Floyd, Clark, Harrison County service areas of southern Indiana, they have served that area for 3 decades, and there's no one better to get you in the home you want than Barber Pop Real Estate Services. Reach out to Matt Lincoln, Matt at barberpop.com. That's all you need to remember. Matt at barberpop.com. Back with Zach right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington or a Hello, Zachary.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you on the moon?
Yeah, I'm in my car. How's that sound?
You're fine.
Okay. Sorry, I got some stuff to take care of this morning before Allen.
Yeah, that's a typical thing to do. Allen and the 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what everybody has to say.
What's new with you, man?
Nothing. Just dealing with all sorts of fun daycare viruses and rashes and getting ready for the kids to get back and whatever.
It sounds like an exciting times.
Maybe hit the lake one more day this summer before it's all said and done. But
Now, you talking about Monroe?
yeah, I go out to Monroe.
Now, do you go out with somebody? You have a boat?
I mean, we rent. And it's just if friends are interested or organizing. We just didn't go anywhere this summer, so the lake is my pale attempt at replacing the beach, basically. So, but there are worse places to spend some time.
Scott Leskowski lives out here, and he has a boat.
I just don't think I would use it enough to feel like I had.
Oh no, I wasn't suggesting that. I was suggesting make sure to know someone with one.
Oh sure, yeah.
That's the best thing, is just to know someone with one.
Oh yeah, no. The best part of I think was the old line: the two best days of boat ownership are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. So just all the stuff that would go into maintenance and fuel and storage in the winter, and I can't imagine it would be worth it for me. Maybe if I just had more money than I knew what to do with.
Exactly. Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back on this Friday. I hope you're ready for the weekend. If not, we're getting you set up for that. Dustin Schutte with me from Outsider.com, as he has been. Joined now by Zach Osterman from the Indy Stars. Zach, how are you today, brother?
Hey, how we doing?
Cannot complain. Dustin doesn't want to listen to it, so I shut up. But it's a beautiful looking Friday out there, man. And the weekend is going to be the entire next week. These guys are in football. I've been talking about this. They are so lucky, man, with this autumn October-like weather.
Yeah, we did. It feels like we cleared a lot of our hot days out in July. And it does always come.
Well, unfortunately, right about the time that happened.
A little bit like that. Kevin Wilson was like, I need some hot days because I need them. But I'm not going to complain. I mean, I'll let the weather be their problem. It's after a roasting hot July, it is nice to have these just like sunny, breezy days.
Yeah, I think we were being a little whiny too about July because it was only partly because I remember even in July there were some days I'm like, I can't believe this. But man, it's awesome. So I'll take it. And so I'm sure the guys with the helmets and the pads and all that are very happy, as well as the first full week of fall camp is underway. Today we talked with the two quarterbacks, Jack Tuttle, Connor Bazelak, as well as Tom Allen for the first time. So that should be interesting to talk to those two guys.
Yeah, it'll be. I mean, obviously, when you have a quarterback battle, it is going to kind of suck up oxygen from everything else. There is, I think we all can broadly agree, no more important position on the field, and you need to know who that guy is. I do think there's also just kind of, it occurred to me in something I was writing leading into camp that this is the first time since Tom Allen's been in Indiana, either as coordinator or as head coach, that he has a roster that has neither Peyton Ramsey nor Michael Penix on it. And so it's not like you're never going to be good at quarterback again. But the point is, particularly since he became head coach, there has always been somebody there that I think really kind of grabbed his attention. Thinking all the way back to Peyton Ramsey's redshirt freshman season in 2017. And now you've suddenly got, this open question. Obviously, Tuttle and Bazelak have been the two names we've heard the most, going even back to the spring. I thought it was interesting. Walt Bell just kind of peppered Dexter Williams in there the other day when we talked to him, the redshirt sophomore from Georgia who's never thrown a pass in college but was out injured all of last year. I think it's also kind of interesting that one of the guys you've got gunning for this job is a transfer on a roster that is probably going to lean on transfers and freshmen pretty substantially this year. But ultimately, I think that the biggest piece of it is anytime there is a true quarterback battle, we don't know who it is going into fall camp, we're going to figure all that out. The gravitational pull of that position means it's hard to talk about or really analyze anything else without knowing that first. And while I guess I would probably be surprised if Indiana names a starter today, I do think it will be in Tom Allen's mind to not let it go on too long because, listen, we're only 3 weeks from kickoff. So you need that number one named far enough in advance that you're comfortable they're getting enough reps, they're spending enough time with the first team, they have enough time to really kind of command that group and carry it forward. So I can't imagine he's going to let it go on forever.
Well, and to that point, I would say, considering, I mean, there's been not much information to come out because that first game is so important. I mean, I think there's a situation where Indiana might have a quarterback named, and it's just not public until kickoff.
I was going to ask that very thing next. So why, if you're going to go through all this, why publicly name a quarterback? Because the practices will be closed and we're not seeing a lot anyway. So why publicly name it and just take it all the way to the end?
I guess I just assumed Tom Allen would have told us that by now. You know, I mean, like because Kevin Wilson used to do that. He used to say the starting quarterback's going to be the one that runs out there with the first team on the first snap. And I think Kevin enjoyed doing that as much as it had any strategic value. But I just think Tom Allen probably would have told us that. Like, I mean, listen, every coach keeps some things close to the vest, but I think he might, like, given how honest he and his staff have kind of been about the idea that, like, a lot of this secrecy is just born of the fact that they play Illinois first and a lot's changed in the last few months and they're just trying to keep everything kind of off tape as much as humanly possible. I guess I would just be a little bit surprised if, as honest as he's been about the rest of the whole idea of sort of obfuscating and keeping things behind closed doors, if he didn't just tell us, we're not going to name a starter, like you're going to find out when Brett Bielema finds out. I think he probably would tell us that, frankly.
Dustin?
Yeah, and I was going to say, to me too, I wonder. To me, I don't even know if the quarterback is the biggest question mark. It is because of the importance of that position. But to me, I think the bigger concern and the bigger question mark that I have is what's that offensive line look like? Because last year, I think Indiana had the skill position pieces. They just didn't get any push up front, and they couldn't run the ball. To me, the most interesting piece is going to be the offensive line, even more so than the quarterback, just because it's been so bad the past couple seasons.
And I think it's quietly fascinating because that's the one position group on offense that hasn't really been overhauled this offseason. Like, you've got brand new faces at running back. We've done, Indiana, but we've seen Indiana do all kinds of different sort of, execute all sorts of different strategies at wide receiver, moving Donovan McCulley, going the JUCO route, going the transfer route, looking at freshmen. We're obviously going to see a substantially different tight end group with A.J. Barner likely at the top end of that position. Offensive line is one place you got Luke Haggard, Matt Bedford, Zach Carpenter, Mike Kadick. I mean, those guys have played a pretty substantial amount of football, frankly, for Indiana. On paper, in terms of just raw snaps, a coach would love to have that kind of returning production, more often than not, frankly. But as you said, and rightly, that group was very poor last year. It was just never consistent. There were some injuries, undeniably. They had to move some pieces around, but it felt at times like they were moving some guys around because they didn't know how to fit anybody together. They were just sort of looking for answers, frankly. And so you're in a position where you got new coordinators, new system, a new starting quarterback, at least in terms of day one starting quarterback. You've got a new running back group. You've got a ton of new wide receivers and tight ends. And then the only group that really has kind of some consistency to it in terms of faces that are back was probably your least consistent position group on offense last season. It's a reminder of just how big this task is, quite frankly.
Right. And one of the things I'm curious to get your thoughts on this too, but I think one of the things, if I'm an Indiana fan, I look back at Walt Bell's his history, and I go back to when he was at Maryland, and he didn't deal with great offensive lines when he was in College Park, yet he was still able to get the ball into the hands of the playmakers. They were able to get to that 6-win mark, get to a bowl game. I mean, you obviously want to have a good offensive line. That's how you win in the Big Ten. That's how you win across college football. But is there some hope that his knowledge, his scheme, maybe knowing, hey, maybe we don't have the best offensive line, but this is how we're going to get the ball in space. This is how we're going to get be able to get playmakers the football. Is there some sort of positivity that comes from that?
I think possibly. I mean, I've always felt like the Maryland comparison was the best one just because he got very little time at FSU, and ultimately UMass is an incredibly difficult job.
Right.
And obviously he struggled in it, but guess what? So has virtually every other coach at UMass in the last 15, 20 years. But I think that's probably fair as well, just kind of an assessment of the idea of basically, that's you're trying to win with a lot of the at Maryland with a lot of the disadvantages you're trying to win with at Indiana. And
right.
This is probably pound for pound a more talented roster than the one he had at Maryland, if you look back at, that offense then. But it's not like he's, it's not like that was a high school team and he's been handed the 85 Bears or whatever, let's say the 99 Rams. I was looking for an offensive comparison there. I think that's probably broadly fair. And I think it is still also maybe just a reminder that, like, this offense is going to look like what Tom Allen wants it to look like. And that is always going to be about, some zone read, some zone run, a lot of playmakers in space, whether that's via the run or the pass, short pass, swing pass, things like that. But I say this every time I talk about offensive football because it is one of my favorite Kevin Wilsonisms. Your offense is what you can block, and it doesn't matter what you call it if you can't block it. And last season, Indiana could have been trying to run the wishbone for all it mattered. They couldn't. They could not clear space on the trenches, and it obviously had all of the impact you'd expect it to.
So now we get to go into a season, which I understand, like we've talked about the secrecy, and I get it because of what is on the line. And frankly, this is a rare time to be able to hold an advantage like Indiana kind of has right now over Illinois. You don't get that opportunity very often. And I understand exploiting it to its very degree because of the importance. If they are able to win that game, they could theoretically go 4-0. I know that that's asking a lot to go to Cincinnati and win, but that's not the Cincinnati team of last year. I just don't know if this team is good enough to go on the road and win yet. But either way, if they're able to go 4-0, man, that changes their own beliefs, their own confidence, and it certainly changes the outlook for bowl eligibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had this conversation before. I would even extend that conversation to the Nebraska game. I think that first month. I think Illinois is crucial because you've got to hold serve at home against those Big Ten teams that are kind of at the same level as you. The Big Ten teams that you're trying to separate from, the Illinois, the Northwesterns, the Rutgers, the Marylands. Obviously, if you can't beat Idaho or Western Kentucky at home, then we don't need to have this conversation. And a nation turns its lonely eyes to basketball season. But if you do get through that stretch 3-0, you really probably need to win one of those two road games, but you probably only need to win one. And you've got a Cincinnati team that I think you rightly said, Luke Fickell's a great coach. That program is really healthy, but they did lose a lot to the draft. And if Indiana thinks it is better this year, and of course, frankly, statistically, not being flippant, it would be hard to be worse, then there's a chance Indiana could be a tough test for Cincinnati. I don't think they have a really demanding early schedule. That may be kind of a first big test for them too. I'd have to go back and look. And then you got a Nebraska team that's got some stuff to prove. And I know what Scott Frost is saying. You know, we lost 9 games last year, but all of them were won by 1 possession. All that. It's like, that's fine. And there's an old maxim in soccer that, you know, you can't lose games you can't keep winning games by only a goal, because at some point those 1-goal wins will become draws, when the reality is sometimes those 1-goal wins, you get a little better, they become 2-goal wins, and you stop winning games by 1 goal because you're winning them by 2 or 3. The same can be true of close losses. You can sit there and say, we had all these close losses, we were close, it's proof we're about to break through, but if you get just a little bit worse, then you don't have any close losses, you're just a 3-9 team. And so Nebraska is going to have a lot to prove in that first month of the season as well. It feels like it is going to be, especially with Nebraska, possibly Illinois, maybe even Cincinnati, though obviously their situation, their conference is different. You know, Indiana's going to be involved in some swing games for both programs involved very early in its Big Ten schedule, and games that, Jim, as you said, I think you're right, really I think will go a long way toward sort of charting this team's, you know, whether this team is going to the postseason or not. Absolutely.
Zach, I cannot thank you enough. I hope you have a great weekend. I'll probably see you in, I guess, in a little while, but I hope you have a great weekend with the kiddos.
Absolutely. I'll do my level best.
Zach Osterman from the Indy Star joining us. Thank you so much, sir. And we've got lots more coming up here as Jeffrey the Greek and Mitchell Paige join us. Zach was brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar, part of the Wild Club and Endeavor Hospitality. Make sure you stop by Feast Market and Cellar, located right next door to Southern Stone Restaurant on Patterson and Rogers. They offer an incredible selection of wines with a sommelier on staff, as well as other varieties of gourmet options to go with. Back with Mitchell Paige and Jeffrey the Greek right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's.
What's up, folks?
Oh boy, do we have oh man, what a
Like
day this is. Mitchell
Brady
Paige,
Bunch.
Jeffrey the Greek, Dustin Schutte. Hello.
Hello. You guys look like you had long faces in the last segment. What was Zach saying?
I mean,
He had me right until he started using soccer as a comparison. I'm like, dude, I can't listen now. You just lost me.
He's a big time soccer fan.
Oh God, that's horrible.
Actually, you know what? I enjoy soccer, not to the extent that he does. He's like a big he's a fan of either Liverpool or
Liverpool.
Is it Liverpool who he's a fan of?
I'm a bigger fan of liver than I am Liverpool.
Yeah, he pays attention. Like, he gets up and watches all the games and stuff.
Oh yeah, early.
You know what I told my 6-year-old when he's getting into soccer, and he asked me if I'd give him shoes. I told him to fuck off. Because goddamn it, I'm not getting my kid into soccer. He can start mowing lawns and pay for his own soccer shoes. That's actually what I told him.
And I'm not coming to your games.
You guys are. It's a cold world.
It's time for this country to get their balls back, and it ain't happening by playing soccer. When if somebody nudges you, you fall down, you get a yellow card. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's World Cup, man. That's
Mitchell
World
gets
Cup.
it. Mitchell gets it.
No. I'm a huge soccer fan.
I am too. I became one because my daughter started playing, and I took her to a pro game.
Guarantee if we take a testosterone count, I'm higher than both you guys right now, just because of what you just shared.
Probably combined. But you could have figured that out watching me play. I played like a soccer player falling on the ground.
Oof.
Yep. Look at this bunch. Oh man.
Whoa! Is somebody listening to me right now?
Friday fun. The front. Oh yeah. Everybody can hear you on.
Oh, I thought it was. Okay. I always forget about that.
Always remember. The radio can't hear you, but YouTube audiences can hear you in the breaks.
All right.
That's why they love it so
Well,
much.
I either just made some friends or some foes. There was no gray area there.
Yeah, it doesn't. If you like soccer, sorry.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan's going to play the entire first quarter. Big whoop.
Yeah.
But
what are we talking about today? I probably should have texted you before.
Big Ten football, man. Big Ten football. It's here.
That's right.
30 seconds.
Okay.
In today's tough housing market, reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Friday here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Schutte from the Outsider.com joining me as well. And now joined by Mitchell Paige and Jeffrey the Greek. What a group. This is the Friday Fun Bunch, baby. And it is time for some fun. First of all, to start it off, how about our man Mark Stoops going off on John Calipari, who in a demand for new practice facilities for his basketball program at Kentucky, said, look, this is a basketball school. Alabama is a football school. Georgia is a football school. This is a basketball school. Mark Stoops didn't take kindly to those remarks and responded. I had that pulled up, but he's like,
that's fantastic.
He's like, this is a basketball school. I thought we played in the SEC.
Yeah.
It was like, wow. So
yeah.
very, very cool to see that.
The old Iowa guy ain't going to put up for that stuff. I love it.
Even the Indiana guy's not going to put up for that. It's all the basketball guys talk about how much money they make. They don't even sniff the revenue that football brings in. They don't even sniff it. I don't care who they are. That Kentucky football program pays for all the stuff that Kentucky basketball gets.
And what I would say is, wouldn't Mark Stoops leaving? Because I think undoubtedly he's one of, if not the best coach Kentucky's had in I don't know how long. Wouldn't him leaving crater the athletic department, hurt it more than Calipari? They'll just find another coach for Kentucky basketball.
Yeah, but he's with all the change in sports, it's going to be a lot easier. I don't want to say to dismantle, but to water down the power, say, a Kentucky basketball has had, because this landscape change is really geared towards football, and there's only going to be two major conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC. Kentucky has been competitive. They won 10 games.
Right.
So
don't make that guy's job harder. I mean, it's amazing what he's done.
He's doing it without having the number one recruiting class for 10, 12 years in a row. What the hell has Calipari done with that? He talks about having all these NBA draft picks. Well, those guys were all guys that were going to the NBA regardless. So who cares? But again, so now this shows you the kind of guy. This is exactly the kind of guy that Calipari is. I talk about it all the time. And now he's doing it to his own. He's cannibalizing on his own school. Yeah. This is him. He lives in his own world. He wants to build this new facility in the middle of Lexington and it be a museum. He wants to build a shrine to himself is what he wants to do. It's exactly. I'm not kidding. He is an arrogant, egotistical, whatever. But I think it's hilarious.
He probably likes soccer too.
He's not
smart enough to like soccer. But I thought that was one of the most interesting comments a coach could make, because cannibalizing is such a perfect word. The more you build everyone up, the more you get in return. I thought that even when Tom Crean and Kevin Wilson were at Indiana, I got to see it, how much those guys would talk about what they're doing in each other's program to try to build something. And that Indiana had been really good at the time. That was when they were number one in the country, Cody Zeller and Victor Oladipo. So the stuff that Tom Crean was saying about the football program really helped us. Fans are listening to that stuff. I'm sure Kentucky fans see John Calipari as not necessarily a god, but somebody that they're looking to provide some wisdom. And when you start talking about the football program, I bet there's people that are like, well, yeah, this is a basketball school. Who cares about football? And their first game kicks off in 3 weeks. They need people in the stands. I thought that was one of the most outrageous quotes you could make about somebody in your own department that you may run into once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, it just again shows his singular-minded thinking. But that was that happened during the Archie Miller era.
Yeah,
there was that was gone because he was out on his own island. Archie Miller was, but now you see Tom Allen and Woodson. Hell, you saw both of them down at the soccer cup, the college cup together. So yeah, that's back, and it matters. It matters a lot. So especially to a football program or whatever program that is in need, it helps. And so yeah, it's crazy to I'm dumbfounded by him making that statement, man. But I'm not, because of knowing who he is. Eventually it comes out. So
his least favorite thing is that Kentucky football has had sustained success because he was all about it a few years ago. I think they won 9 or 10 games or were in the hunt for the SEC East, maybe leading up to the final week. And he was all about it. I mean, he's praising Mark Stoops, saying I'm the second most popular guy on campus. And then all of a sudden he thought it was going to be a one-hit wonder. He's like, this is one season. This is Kentucky football. They'll go back to being 5-7 or 6-6. And now he's got a challenger in the state. He wants to be the king of that state, and he probably still is. But now there's a challenger, and you've got somebody that's not going to put up with his BS. Which was the funniest thing, was that there were other fans that were commenting about that, and he willingly retweeted a bunch of those. I don't know if it's still up on his account or not, bashing Calipari, but it's I'm here for it. I'm here for the infighting.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, especially when it comes to Kentucky, because everybody loves to hate Kentucky, mainly because my deal's lifelong. It has nothing to do with media or whatever. So I try to keep that out of it. But it is. I have no respect for that basketball program. Not that they haven't won, but no, I still wouldn't have any respect for them, because they're one of the cheatingest programs in the history of college sports. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, I'm not talking about allegations. I'm talking about proven stuff. They got the death penalty, point shaving scandals going back to the 50s. I mean, it kept continued. But so,
hey Jim,
I don't care.
Can I make one comment?
Yeah.
I was watching the Big Ten Network a couple weeks ago, watching the Big Ten Media Days, and a guy came on the screen, and I'm like, oh, finally, like a good looking, gorgeous blonde journalist here. Who is, it was Jim Coyle. Wow. You were looking, the blonde hair was flowing. I was like, what a gorgeous man he is. Why is he putting that hat on all the time? Where and when was this? I thought it looked like you rode a wave, like you were surfing from California, and you just rode it right into Indianapolis. That blonde hair was looking so good. Anyways, I just wanted to give you a shout out, man.
Yeah. I think this is the first time I've ever seen that.
So like Ronnie Bass from Sunshine, Ronnie Bass from what was the movie?
Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
Throw it 5 miles, can't pitch it 3 feet.
So where was this? I'm still missed the point. Where
It was Big Ten Media Days when you asked Brett Bielema a question.
Yeah, you're on TV.
Oh. I did not see that. But
Yeah.
thank you for the I had a sport coat on, so I try to look, professional in those environments.
Dapper Dan.
Yeah. Well, got to play the part. You
Yeah.
fake it until you make it, baby. Fake it until you make it.
Absolutely.
How about, I thought he answered the question as well as he could.
Absolutely. I thought Brett Bielema, on the one side of the scale for controlling the podium and doing a great job, you had Brett Bielema. And on the far other side of the scale, you had Scott Frost for how to conduct a Big Ten Media Day interview.
Scott Frost is...
Here we go.
I'm going to put him, he's worse than Archie Miller, or right there with him. And a matter of fact, the parallels are unbelievable. Expectations not close to being met. It's kind of been beyond longer than you expected it, and it's still going. And this is the last wave right here, baby. You're going into a season that for a fact it either turns or it doesn't. And I'm not in Lincoln, obviously, so I don't know what he's like there, but I do know what Archie was like in Bloomington, and that was non-existent. Not part of the community, not part of the school. I don't know what Scott Frost is like because I'm not there, but if it's anything like his personality, God, I would not want to be around that guy. There's just nothing. There's just nothing.
Dustin, do you remember little Archie Miller on Twitter? We need a little Scott Frost or something.
That would be excellent. Yes.
Hey, I've got two new ones for you. I should go ahead and start this one. Hey, Lil Rhodey. Rhode Island Rams are known as the Roadies. Archie Miller is now the coach of Rhode Island. So he's now my Lil Rhodey. And then who was the other one you wanted? Oh, Lil. How about Lil Frosty?
Little Frosty.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. That's pretty good, actually.
You've gone off the rails.
Both of those will be created today as soon as I get done. Little Frosty and Rhodey.
Right.
Mitchell's not going to let you surprise him at his bachelor party to play golf uninvitedly. You keep coming up with these.
That's true.
He's not going to let me anyway.
That is also true.
But
you got some upcoming nuptials?
I do.
Yeah.
Next March. I'm pumped.
All right. So still time for me to talk you out of it. Okay.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
Busting out the big words, nuptials.
Yeah. I had to take a second. I'm like,
he's got to get his,
but I'm gonna go
get his dictionary out.
Yeah, yeah. But
sorry. I heard you're getting married. Is that better?
Yeah, you getting married?
I heard you getting hitched.
You're getting hitched. I heard you just getting hitched.
Yeah, this is an Indiana show.
Well, tell your old lady we said hey.
Yeah, us Indiana folks. It's too
Wait a
many
minute.
big words.
That's whoa. That's not.
Shut up, Yankee.
I don't. That's more like Kentucky, but why would you say that about Indiana? I don't see. I disagree.
I'm not saying it.
I grew up in Southern Indiana. I grew up in Indiana,
and I know
you grew up. Yeah, but you were from Carmel. You little Carmel.
Watch it.
Spoon-fed Carmel. Whatever.
There's going to be people from Carmel in the comments now.
Hey, I know about. Yeah, everybody always got mad at Carmel. The reason that they get so mad at Carmel is Carmel wins.
Oh,
everybody hates the winners.
That's that.
Well,
that's that.
They win. They're also the damn biggest school in the state by far.
That's not true.
Oh, name us one school bigger than they are.
Ben Davis.
Bam.
No.
That's pretty quick. That's pretty quick right there.
It's not, but it's not accurate.
I mean, you can look it up right now. It's like by literally 800.
We're gonna take a break. We're gonna look that up. When we come back, the answer to the long-torn question of which school's bigger. Mitchell Paige is on right now, as is Jeffrey the Greek, Dustin Schutte. We've got lots more coming up, brought to you by our friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry. When you need that superstar smile, you need to go see Dr. J. It's where I went. I was there Wednesday. painless situation fixed and ready back on the road. Stop by and see him. Reynolds Family Dentistry down in Sellersburg in southern Indiana. Back with the guys right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington or...
Oof.
We still didn't really finish the Calipari thing.
No.
Well, he's currently washing feet.
Calipari?
To kids in the Bahamas, it appears.
Yeah, well, he better be watching Mark Stoops' feet.
That was a great point. You guys, Mitchell, Dustin, you both had great points.
Wait a minute.
That's fantastic.
He's down in the Bahamas washing feet like he's a effing missionary.
Recruits.
I'm just telling you what I see on social media.
Jeez.
What happened? Sorry, I was away for a second.
Well, I've been stuck on ladies of the Big Blue Nation for about the last 20 minutes.
John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats working with Samaritan's Feet, washing feet and distributing shoes to local kids in the Bahamas.
Oh God, I thought it was like a euphemism.
No,
that's
real.
Oh.
Well, you know what?
He's doing that while tweeting shit about his football coach. Oh my God. Hi, Dustin, by the way.
How's it going?
Good.
Speaking of which, here's a picture of someone put on Twitter of Mike Woodson and Tom Allen at the soccer game.
Either we talk about Big Ten football in the next segment, or I take my shirt off. You guys got a choice.
Oh, wait a minute. Dustin Schutte.
Jim didn't even make a dent with Jim.
Nope. He didn't. Yeah, do we want to? What's going on?
What did you all say? What?
What's going on? We got to talk about Big Ten football.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks out. We're 2 weeks out from live Big Ten football.
Wait a minute. Beer review in a minute or two.
Yeah, did you not see that?
I'm looking at it right now.
There you go. That can be a segment for Monday when everybody's trying to wake up.
Monday or a Friday? Like right now.
Well, do it right now.
But
no. We got to talk about Big Ten. I don't want to see anybody with their shirts off. I'm trying to have a good weekend. So we got to talk Big Ten ball.
That's right. Finally worked out with my schedule to join. I've been busy.
Dustin, we have to start doing this, and then I can send that out on YouTube. That'll get you a bunch of views.
$250 per episode.
It won't get that many views.
I think you just got fired, is what I think happened.
Although the clip I sent out on Walt Bell talking about their aim for the start of the years, that's like 14,000 views.
Nice.
25 seconds.
What's new in the Big Ten world here, real quick?
Well, there's nothing really new.
Going everywhere.
Yeah.
Some teams look like they're good. Some teams look like they suck.
Find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat here on this Friday. Looking forward to wrapping it up and heading out on the weekend. What big plans this weekend, Mitchell?
You know what I'm doing this weekend.
Golfing.
Yes, sir.
We will skip that and go straight to Jeffrey the Greek. Big plans this weekend?
Man. I'm recording a podcast about Big Ten football tomorrow with my buddy Big Kurt, so that'll be fun.
Why has Big Kurt not been on with us?
Have you ever had a conversation with a grumpy 94-year-old man before in your life? That's kind of like Kurt. It's just that it's trapped inside a 40-year-old person's body. So he's just got other. He's got other things to do. He's got medications to take. The buffet shuts down at 5:30. It's just lots of things going on.
I mean, that sounds like a perfect little segment edition here on a Friday.
Okay.
That's just enough crazy to make to really give the show a well-rounded Friday kickoff kind of a deal. Yes.
Okay.
Into the weekend, buddy. Here's a little bit of your crazy. Here's some football talk. Here's some sanity talk. And God knows what else there is.
Here's something I'd like to talk about real quick. I was wondering, most of your audience is obviously Hoosier fans, correct?
Oh yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Okay. As an Iowa fan, I was wondering if I could get an invitation for the next 3 months or so to dislike Purdue fans as much as Indiana fans, if that's okay. I'd like to be in the team.
All aboard.
You're in.
Thanks.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm sure that I'm quite certain that they would let you in.
Hi, Dustin.
And why is that?
Oh man, just the nonstop, smack talking from Hoosier fans or from Boilermaker fans towards Iowa football. Their biggest Super Bowl game the last couple of years has been beating Iowa. Just getting tired of hearing about it.
I thought it was beating Ohio State,
and that's been a tick now since that game happened.
Yeah.
But
they did it twice in like 5 years.
They always do that to somebody,
right?
But they beat them by like 3 touchdowns or something.
But then they get owned by Minnesota and PJ Fleck, and I'm just saying, like, nobody talks about those losses. We're only there to talk about the big, splashy wins. And I'm beginning to think Jeff Brom, like Tom, is one of the bigger toolboxes in the Big Ten area.
I want to hear Mitchell's thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I kind of have to side with the Purdue fans in this moment, which is a first. I sure talk about beating Michigan State a lot more than I talk about Rutgers coming back and beating us 25 in the fourth quarter.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's the pinnacle. That's the best thing that's going to happen to them. As an Iowa fan, you've probably got some big wins in your future, but you are always welcome on our side of the coin. It smells bad up there. The drive is ugly. It's a bad place to be. This down in Bloomington, you stay with us.
I actually didn't make the trip to Purdue as a player, but I did not. I think it was 2005. I was at the Purdue Iowa game, and so I would have been like, I don't know, 26 or something like that, and ready to get down, but beat every single student into the stadium. Like they just kind of sauntered in, as the game was kind of getting going, and we were in the section over, and then Iowa started getting up on Purdue. And I was younger at the time. I don't do this stuff anymore, but we were talking all kinds of crap to those kids. Like, just as they were leaving, just like, we are beating your ass on the field, drinking, party, like we were just killing them. So was my fondest memory.
I can relate. We played them obviously every year, but we went there 3 times and I beat them every time at their place. But my best memory was the year after I graduated, we played there again, and I went there in full candy stripe pants, hat. I was fully decked out, and I had a similar experience as you, talking crazy and having a little fun. But problem was Indiana just got absolutely steamrolled. So that was the only difference. But for how much agriculture they do in that college, their field sure stinks. Like you go up to Penn State or Michigan State, and it's just unbelievable turf. The grass is pristine, and Purdue.
Do they still have natural grass?
Yeah,
I'll give them a nod for that. Anybody that sticks with it and has natural grass, I like that.
My 2 favorite stadiums we played in were Michigan State and Penn State for that reason. The natural grass is just, there's something about it. The smells are better. doesn't hurt as bad when you're getting body slammed by someone twice as big as you.
It's a fact.
Yeah, it's just a fact.
Let's see. All right, so your Hawkeyes.
Yeah, man.
What do you?
What's the outlook?
What? Wisconsin and Iowa. Who's the dog this year?
I mean, I'm putting Minnesota there too. And unfortunately, I don't think Purdue's if they are behind, they're not that far behind either. So I mean, the West is wide open, which is what makes it fun. Was talking to Brett Ciancia with Pick Six Previews just the other night. And, like you always hear about, well, the Big Ten West doesn't have an elite team. But if one of those teams we just listed was elite, then the Big Ten race would be boring. So it's like people always complain about, a lot of these divisions. You pretty much already know who the winner is in August. The West, you don't. I mean, literally every fan base thinks they got a chance to win it, which is what makes it fun. But with Iowa, I guess at this point being ranked outside the top 25, even though we won 10 games last year and returned the second most starters in the Big Ten, I guess at this point you just say, all right, we'll play the disrespect card again and we'll come up and beat your ass again. If this is what we got to do, we do it almost every single year. I know the offense sucks. I saw it last year myself. But the defense is amazing, and I checked into it. Check this out. Breaking news. Iowa's offense can get better. It's allowed to try to improve upon itself from last year.
People forget that.
Yeah, people forget that.
It's like the North. To me, it's kind of like Northwestern, how they can win games and they never get ranked. Like, not only was Iowa last year the Big Ten West champion, 2019, 10 wins. 2020, they lost those first two games, but then won 6 straight to close out the season. Like, it wasn't like last year was a fluke. You've had no. probably in 2020, if you play a full season, that probably would have been a 9 or 10 win team too. So you're looking at potentially 3 10-win seasons.
I think 10, maybe 11. I mean, people were talking about Iowa being the best team, the second best team in the Big Ten that year by the end of the year. I mean, we weren't just beating people, we were mauling people. So the offense has got to get back to that. I mean, the difference between 2020 and 21 was the rushing attack. If the rushing attack gets over basically 4.2 yards a carry, the whole offense just takes off at that point. So the rushing attack's got to be better, and I think it will be.
Yeah. Over in the Big Ten East, of course, everything starts and stops in Columbus, Indiana, or Ohio, rather, with the Buckeyes, as they are picked again to be the favorite in the Big Ten overall, I believe. But Michigan, where are they going to be? Or are they going to have a drop-off, fall off? Can Penn State rise back up? They've got what's his name at quarterback for the 26th straight season now. What's his name? This dude played high school against Peyton Ramsey. I thought they were the same age. Sean Clifford. Sean Clifford.
Oh yeah.
He's like what is he, a 10-year starter at Penn State?
Yeah. And for how long he's been there.
Did you play against him? My God.
Yeah, right. I think he was definitely on the team when I was there. He's got I think Michigan, for whatever reason, it always seems like everything has to go right for them to be good. Whereas in Ohio State, they can be not as great at one position or have some things, ball not bounce their way, and they still win games. Michigan just feels like they're built in a glass house. But Penn State is the team that I think doesn't feel like that. They're physical, they're sound, maybe not as skilled as Ohio State, but they feel like a team that could challenge the Buckeyes. I was actually, unfortunately for the rest of the Big Ten, I was talking with Coach Wilson just recently, Kevin Wilson, who hopefully Hoosier fans remember fondly. And he was telling me that they're as skilled as they've ever been on offense. The receivers that they have now, they had 4 guys that were first-round draft picks in the room 2 years ago. And he said, God, they just reloaded, and they're better. The Smith and Jigba kid is going to be the best wide receiver that he's ever seen. That includes Oklahoma, Indiana, anybody at Ohio State. And they just are deep. Their tight ends are deep. Their running backs are fast, big, mean. C.J. Stroud, I think, is the best player in the country. So that's absolutely right. Buck stops in Columbus. Hopefully they can withstand the onslaught from a team like Purdue that seems to nip them in the bud every couple of years. But I'm excited to watch the Buckeyes. That's going to be the Big Ten shot at the national.
Oh, look at you! You're switching sides just because
Dude,
Kevin
they're
Wilson's
good.
over there.
So, not to defend Michigan, or the Michigan man, which I've heard they're kind of like Carmel man. They're kind of the same thing. That's what I've heard. But
I would argue Carmel men are worse.
But one thing I want to say,
I said neither of those things. Neither of those.
The Carmel man said it.
One thing I want to say is, that game just this past November between Michigan and Ohio State, that was a whooping. And I'm sorry, but until I am proven different from Ohio State's front seven, I need to see them be able to shut down that Michigan rushing attack. That Michigan offensive line could be better than it was last year, and it was the Jim Broyles award-winning offensive line. So I'm not saying I'm picking Michigan to go 12-0 or whatnot, but I'm just saying, like, I just feel like people fixate so much on the shiny stuff, which is Ohio State's weapons on offense. They're incredible, but it wasn't the shiny stuff that won that game in November. It was the nitty gritty, which was up front that Michigan just whooped them. So like that gap has got to close for Ohio State to beat Michigan.
And absolutely. One last thing real quick. I just hope, and the reason that I say glass house is they finally get going where they're looking like they're going to be a national contender, and then the offensive coordinator leaves. And you just hope that the next guy comes in and doesn't try to get cute. This works.
Or Jim Harbaugh does interviews with the Vikings. I mean, that's the weirdest thing that went down. But
yeah, I mean, it's that place. It always seems like there's something that's going to make something bad happen. And I don't know why it is. That just seems like they got a thorn in their foot.
I think the offense is. I think Greek brings up a good point about the offense. I think that'll be fine. But to me, it's hard for me to pick Michigan when you lost Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Ross, David Ajabo, Dax Hill. I mean, you keep going on, and then you change defensive coordinators. To me, that's the bigger story. I get your point. I don't know. I think with Jim Knowles coming in defensively, I think Ohio State's going to be a lot better on that side of the ball. I think it's probably fair to say it's going to be closer. Like everybody's just giving Ohio State the division. That's what they do every year. That's just how it goes. So I get that. To me, it's just I think Michigan lost way too much defensively to be able to replicate what they did last season.
On the bottom of the Big Ten East, which team is going to make the jump? You've got Indiana, which is picked last. You've got Rutgers and then Maryland. Indiana is actually set up to do it if they can get past Illinois. Because if you get past Illinois, then you've got two non-con games, which should put you at 3-0. Then you go to Cincinnati, which is a tough road game, but it's not an unwinnable road game. And if you're 3-0, you've got confidence. You're doing things well. Things are starting to click. And if you happen to win that game, now you're 4-0. And I'm not saying that that's going to make you go out and beat Michigan or something like that. But what it does, it gives you breathing room of we've got to win 2 more games the rest of the year. But it changes their entire outlook for the season if they can do that. I haven't studied other teams' schedules around, but Nebraska is another game. Indiana has to go play quickly. But the week before playing Indiana, they have to play Oklahoma. Yeah. So that sets up well for them. But
I think it's one last point. I know we got to get off here. It's the biggest thing for Indiana is that first game. We discussed Iowa and fast starts and how they were just destroying people last year. That was a good Indiana team that they just melted on live TV, and they melted them for the entire season. How bad they beat them. they took Indiana's train that was moving in the right direction. It was basically the same team.
Injuries too. Injuries really hurt Indiana last year.
Yeah, but I mean, it all starts by getting beat 44-0 or whatever it was. That's something like that causes doubts, and that derails a team. So if they can get past Illinois, and I've actually already convinced myself that they're going to be 12-0. I've gone completely to the other side. Indiana's going to be the best team in the Big Ten. I'm happy to be back. It was a long off season, but I would like to take the end of the show to announce that Indiana will be 12-0, and I will see you guys at the college football play.
Big day.
Well, maybe in 2 years though, we definitely go to the Rose Bowl.
Definitely.
Or the LA Coliseum.
I played there.
You know, now that I'm inside the Indiana fandom, I'm kind of thinking y'all are crazy now. This is fun. I like this. Or have we been drinking? I know you guys are an hour in front of me.
Jeffrey the Greek, and you may not have heard, but in 2 years UCLA joins the Big Ten, and they play in the Rose Bowl, where all their home games are in the Rose Bowl. So yeah, Indiana's going to the Rose Bowl regardless.
Love it.
No, we're going to the national championship this year, 12-0. End the show. We're the best team in the country. End the show.
Yeah. We're gonna have to think about starting extending this segment, because it is way too much fun, and way too much fun to put a time limit on it. But unfortunately, there is. Big thanks to Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Make sure you go there and get signed up. Follow him on Twitter, Zach Osterman from the Indy Star, Mitchell Paige, and Jeffrey the Greek. Big Eyes on Pod, Big Eyes on Big.
There you go.
Pod with big Eyes on Big Pod with Big Kurt. Go to SIG for want to buy some commercial property anywhere in the world, for that matter. And for Dustin Schutte, great recipe. He'll send you a great summer bourbon dinner recipe. Reach out to him for that. So, and thanks to Joe, the producer, for filling in the last couple of days as well. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. But looking forward to coming back and doing it all again on Monday. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I had a work call come in. I got to go right away, guys.